Welcome back. More on our breaking news now. Embattled Congressman and Michigan Democrat John Conyers stepping down as ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee amid sexual harassment allegations. Conyers has been front and center in the congressional hearings into possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Well, here was Conyers a few weeks ago questioning U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions over accusations the president was trying to influence the U.S. Justice Department.
In a functioning democracy, is it common for the leader of the country to order the criminal justice system to retaliate against his political opponents?
Mr. Conyers, I would say that it's the Department of Justice can never be used to retaliate politically against opponents, and that would be wrong.
All right, let's discuss this with my panel now. CNN political commentators, Michael Singleton and Maria Cardona. Good to see you both.
Hey, Fred.
Thanks for having me. So a couple of things, that soundbite exemplifies just one role that John Conyers had as a ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. He has been very dogged as it pertains to the Russia investigations. At the same time, he has been pressed for more questions on these sexual harassment allegations, taxpayer money paid out for a settlement. So, Maria, with him stepping down now as a ranking member, what next for John Conyers as he faces the ethics investigation? At the same time, what now, for the tenor of the continuous grilling on the Hill as it pertains to the Russia investigation without Conyers as a ranking member?
Sure. Well, first of all, let me say that it is the right thing that he stepped down. I think that these allegations are serious ones. They need to be looked into. And if it comes to the point where he needs to resign, then he needs to resign. I don't think that anybody that abuses their power the way that he allegedly did so and others have allegedly done so deserves to be in public office where you hold the public trust. And so I think moving forward, we'll see what happens there. I also believe, though, that Donald Trump and the White House should not get comfortable because he is stepping down on the issue of Russia. The issue of Russia is still very much front and center. It is a bipartisan issue. I think it's something that both both sides of the aisle want to make sure we get to the bottom of. And clearly it is something that Donald Trump and the White House still don't want to talk about. And Donald Trump still to this day has not admitted that Vladimir Putin and Russia meddled in our elections. And so that is a big problem. It is not going away for this White House. It is not going away for Donald Trump, regardless of whether Conyers is stepping down. And Democrats and I hope Republicans are going to continue to keep the focus on getting to the bottom of what happened with Russia to make sure that it never happens again. And that includes whether there is possible collusion from the Trump campaign during the elections.
And Michael, how do you see this as shaking things up for lawmakers and also shaking things up in the ongoing investigations of Russia?
I mean, again, Frederica, I think the way the process is set up, the investigation will continue whether or not Congressman Conyers is there or not, and I think it should. Anytime a foreign country meddles in our democratic process, I think we all have to take it serious. It's beyond politics. It's not Republican or Democratic. As it relates to Congressman Conyers in particular, I think this whole process with this $15 million that has been paid out for members of Congress, we should look more into this. I would like to know who decides how much money is going to be paid out? Who's on this committee? Why haven't the American people been told more about this? I think people should know if their congressmen are not acting appropriately so that they can make the determination if they want to vote them out during the election cycle. So there's a lot in Washington, D.C. where I think a lot of the checks and balances have completely been dropped. And I think it's becoming on the rest of Congress to say, you know what, we owe the American people some transparency here, and we have to do the right thing. Be open and honest about what's going on in D.C., because I think that's part of the reason why so many people feel detached from Washington today.
And potentially that can of worms has now been opened where there may be, or it may lead now to some sort of transparency on all of that. All right, so meantime, the other person on Capitol Hill who openly is being accused of sexual harassment or, inappropriate behavior, at the very least, Senator Al Franken. We know that he has had written statements. He has made admissions. He has apologized. And now we understand just a short time ago, he has spoken with his hometown newspaper, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and saying now, and I'm paraphrasing and just giving you one quote that has been released to us, "I'm embarrassed and ashamed. I've let a lot of people down, and I'm hoping I can make it up to them and gradually regain their trust." We also understand that Senator Franken will be talking to a local television station later on today as well. So, Maria, is that enough? And, you know, can Al Franken continue on about his business of being the senator when everyone reports back to work tomorrow after the holiday?
Well, I think that's something that still has to be determined. You know, again, I don't believe that anybody that has abused the public trust should be in a position, should be in a public office, public elected office. But I think in terms of Al Franken, he at least has admitted to what he has done. He is trying to make amends for it. I think the big question is, will others continue to come out? Are there other allegations? Are there other women out there that we haven't heard from? And this is just the tip of the iceberg, Frederica. You know, we have seen that we've seen this across industries now, across sectors, that women are now coming out. They refuse to be silenced any longer, and it is now getting to the hallowed halls of Congress. And I think that is a good thing. I think there are many issues that need to be dealt with, including what you were just talking about in terms of transparency. The fact that, you know, when there's an allegation made by somebody on sexual harassment or a sexual allegation, the process right now is set up to protect the harasser. And so all of that needs to be changed. And I think moving forward, we are seeing sort of a tipping point. But this is, again, like Shermichael said, is not a Republican versus Democratic issue. This is not left versus right. This is right versus wrong, and we all need to be on the right side of this.
So, Shermichael, also, you know, there are glaring differences, though, aren't there? We have seen publicly the consequences have been really swift and immediate as it pertains to people facing similar accusations in the entertainment industry, and then you have very powerful men who are facing very similar allegations in politics, and there has been a process being put in place, or people are being asked to respect the process in place for due process or to be adjudicated, etc. Do you see this as the beginning of I guess disrupting those differences, changing those differences?
I mean, look, Frederica, we all respect the process, right? I don't think anyone would negate that fact. But let's keep in mind here, these are elected members. They're leaders. They're politicians. They were elected by the people to serve the people, to be open and honest and transparent with the people, and they're not doing that. I agree with Maria. Anytime there are these types of allegations that are remedied against any elected official, it's really, really difficult, at least in my opinion, for that person to do their job appropriately. Yeah. With all of the distraction. If you're elected to do the job, imagine, Frederica, how difficult it is if there are women that are constantly coming out against you, if there are allegations that we don't know that may yet to have come. There's also investigations by the Ethics Committee. It's really hard to do their job, and so I think it's a lot easier for the members to just step aside, allow the people of their states, or the people of their states, to have a proper representation as they should. And I think the expectation, again, is on other members of Congress to put pressure on those members to say, you know, yes, we would like you to stay. Yes, you're our colleague, but you owe more to the people who elected you in office, and perhaps it is in your best interest and the interest of your state or your congressional district to just step aside.
All right, Shermichael Singleton.
Frederica, really quickly, this is why it's going to be really difficult for Republicans if Roy Moore gets elected. I mean, I think we didn't talk about the two elephants in the room, right? Roy Moore, who is an alleged pedophile and is about to possibly be elected to Congress. And I know a lot of Republicans don't agree with that. And frankly, Republicans who are speaking out against Roy Moore were the same Republicans who looked the other way less than a year ago when Donald Trump and a self-professed sexual predator got elected to the White House.
And that's why I hope really quickly, Fred, that if Roy Moore does win, while I respect the people of Alabama, he should be expelled. There's no way we should seat this guy, because the repercussions are grave for the Republican Party, but it's also an embarrassment to our country.
If the voters elect him, you're saying that the Senate...
Absolutely.
not
Look, I respect their right, but the voters of Alabama should also understand and respect the fact that we as a country, as a collective, also have a right to decide who we want representing us on the world stage and in Congress. And this guy should not be in the Senate, Frederica. The repercussions of this for the Republican Party, I think we will feel next year, and we will feel these way down the line beyond President Trump. And I think we have to keep that in mind. You cannot just think about months ahead. You have to think in the long term.
Oh, okay, we will leave it right there.
Thanks,
Sir
Fred.
Michael Singleton, Maria Cardona, thank you so much.
Thanks,
We'll
Fred.
be right back.